Have you ever seen a basketball player so tall he makes Shaquille O'Neal look small? In a sport filled with giants, height alone doesn't shock us anymore. We've seen Victor Wembanyama and Edey at 7'4", and we know the legends of Gheorghe Mureșan at 7'7". But even those towers pale in comparison to a man who nearly reached the impossible, Abidon Adyok, better known by the viral name Big Niga. At 7'11", he was billed as the tallest basketball player in the world. He wasn't in the NBA, he wasn't even in a major professional league, yet for a fleeting moment, the internet believed he was the next great phenomenon. And then as quickly as he appeared, he disappeared. This is the story of how one man nearly tricked the basketball world. The truth behind his rise and fall, and why in 2025, the tallest player on earth is nowhere to be found. The legend began in 2021, when Shaquille O'Neal posted a video of himself next to Big Niga. The visual alone was enough to send shockwaves across social media. Shaquille O'Neal playing in a youth basketball league in Dubai. The footage showed him towering over children, dunking with ease, palming the ball like a toy, even hitting jumpers with one hand. But the real shock wasn't just his size. It was the league he was playing in. That league, the Impact Youth Basketball League, is for players under the age of 14. And suddenly the story flipped. What the world thought was a 20-something prodigy was instead presented as a 14-year-old middle schooler who happened to be nearly 8 feet tall. The idea was too outrageous to ignore. An 8th grader standing taller than any NBA player in history? Overnight, he went from a curiosity to a supposed once-in-a-lifetime prospect, but with hype came suspicion. Could a boy that tall really be just 14? Scouts, fans, and journalists started asking questions. The timeline didn't add up. His body didn't look like that of a child. His face carried the maturity of a grown man, and whispers began to spread that Adyok was not what he seemed. Born in Nigeria, his early years were shrouded in mystery. He grew up poor, living in a house where his height became a daily burden. By the time he was a teenager, he couldn't even stand upright indoors without his head hitting the ceiling. Shoes in his size didn't exist, forcing him to play basketball barefoot. And the sport wasn't a dream at first, it was a burden. His size drew stares, not opportunities. That changed when he was discovered by coaches at the University of Abidon. They saw raw potential in his extraordinary frame. Soon after, he came into contact with Odegbami, a Nigerian sports legend who had dedicated his post-football career to developing young athletes. Odegbami told him the story of Hakeem Olajuwon, the Nigerian who turned his once awkward height into a gift and became an NBA champion. Inspired, Adyok decided to pursue basketball with seriousness. His journey took him across Nigeria, then to South Sudan for training, before finally landing in Dubai, where he joined a youth basketball academy. And it was there, in that strange intersection of obscurity and exposure, that Shaquille O'Neal met him and posted the viral video. The internet crowned him as basketball's next freakish prodigy, but behind the scenes the truth was darker. The age listed for him in Dubai, 14, was almost certainly false. Age fraud has long plagued African sports, where loose documentation makes it possible to manipulate birth records. Families and agents sometimes shave years off a player's real age to create the illusion of youth and maximize career opportunities. It's a practice that has haunted prospects from Serge Ibaka to Thonmaker. And in Adyok's case, all evidence pointed to the same conclusion. He was far older than he claimed. People who had seen him in Nigeria years earlier recalled him already standing over 7 feet tall and playing against grown men. Reports from as far back as 2016 suggested he was 17 then, nearly 18. If true, that would make him around 27 in 2025. Not a teenager, not even a college prospect, but a full-grown adult masquerading as a child prodigy. Even Odegbami himself resurfaced in 2021, writing that Adyok was 21 or 22 at the time of the viral video. The myth of the 14-year-old giant was just that, a myth. So why lie? The theory goes like this. When he was finally discovered, it was already too late. He was too old to join a US high school system, too raw for college recruiters, and too inexperienced for professional scouts. Agents, realizing this, may have fabricated his age to reboot his career, presenting him as a freshman starting at the beginning of his journey, rather than a late bloomer already nearing adulthood. It was a gamble that, if successful, could have opened doors to prep schools, scholarships, and even the NBA draft. But the plan unraveled quickly. At 7'11", Adyok was unforgettable. People recognized him from his past, exposed the inconsistencies, and unraveled the story. College coaches backed away. NBA scouts lost interest. By the time the truth spread, the fairy tale was over. And so, the world's tallest basketball player never became a basketball player at all. Unlike Victor Wembanyama, who was scouted early and groomed through elite academies, Adyok never had access to professional training. He never developed strength, conditioning, or the skills required to compete at the highest levels. His viral fame came too late, and the opportunities slipped away. Today, casually shooting jumpers or palming basketballs with 2 fingers. They're impressive, but they're content, not competition. He remains an amateur, a curiosity, a what-if in the history of the game. The truth is painful. At nearly 8 feet tall, his body is a burden as much as it is a gift. Years of growing without proper care have left him hunched, his frame fragile, his future limited. His story stands as both a cautionary tale and a tragedy. The tallest man in basketball was never really a basketball player. He was an illusion, a viral phenomenon, a reminder that size alone does not guarantee greatness. But even in failure, his story resonates, because it exposes the underbelly of international scouting, the desperation of agents, and the fine line between dream and deception. Adyok nearly tricked the basketball world into believing he was the next great superstar. Instead, he became something else entirely, a legend of what might have been. So I'll leave you with this. Do you think Abidon Adyok's career was doomed from the start because of his body and background? Or was he robbed of a chance by the system that chose to exploit his age instead of nurturing his talent? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this breakdown of one of basketball's strangest mysteries, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel,